Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
Welcome back.
MisFitNation. MisFitNation.
We are a show founded by veterans and hosted by veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their story to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on, share some of your tips with the audience to help them become better versions of themselves. If you're a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and share how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you're a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and just share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. Reach out, we will get you on. If you are feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle, or are embarrassed to share that with them, please dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you're a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation. Be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast apps and also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. That's @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell. This will keep you up to date with all of our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Electrocast Media and About Face Radio. This will keep you tuned into us and learn more about our great guests. Thank you, Adam Baum, for playing an amazing set tonight. And hand it over to the Misfit Nation. Don't forget your lunchbox and stay safe on your ride home. Our next guest is both an award-winning author of Hired, Cut Your Career Search and Time in Half, and Ignite, Engage, Retain. He is also a global operations supply chain professional with over 25 years experience in global manufacturing in countries such as Thailand, China, Malaysia, the United Kingdom, Germany, and Brazil. The cherry on top of this is he is a U.S. Army veteran who served in the greatest division on earth, the 101st Airborne Division, during Desert Storm and the Desert Shield. He is a practitioner, not a theorist. He lives and works from what he writes and speaks on, getting extraordinary results in half the time of others. Don't forget to call in. We'll put you on the air at 202-813-9379. So without further ado, let's welcome to the Misfit Nation, George Murray. How are you, George?
Hoo-ah! How are you guys doing?
Very good. It's great to have another Screaming Eagle on here. It always gets a lot of 82nd people mad when we say we're the best division on earth, but we keep rubbing into them. As long as I'm alive, I'll do that.
It's been a while since I've been to Clarksville.
So a lot of stuff has changed since last time you were here. Believe me, you might have to drive through a few times to try to remember where things were. It's a very fast growing area now, thanks to the growth of Nashville as well.
Oh, that's good.
So George, if you don't mind, I gave a quick blurb about your history. Tell us a little more about yourself from as far back as you want to go to how we got to where we are now.
Sure. Served in Desert Storm, Desert Shield, 101st. Also over in Germany, 1st to the 15th Infantry, Audie Murphy's homeland there. And been in global supply chain and operations, multi-site operations for probably about 20 of my 25 years history in 4 industries, main in automotive, contract manufacturing, semiconductor, and RFID.
It's a wide range of different things that you were involved with there. So you had to have a good knowledge to get that supply chain moving for all that stuff. And you're also an award-winning author, You sent me your book, Hired, and it is now a #1 bestseller. You said after a year, thanks to the surge of people needing jobs now. So that's a great thing, great for you, and great that you were able to provide this tool for those out there. And tell the audience a little bit about your other achievement you received today.
Yeah, so a great lady that I've known for many years, Ann Pryor. Anybody who doesn't know Ann, she's a #1 LinkedIn expert. So if you need help with your LinkedIn profile, etc., she's the person to reach out to. She actually nominated me for the 2022 Military Veteran Executives to be recognized, and so very thankful for that. And she's just a great person overall.
That's awesome to have people in your life that recognize you. That's why I always call the inner circle. That's the person you want in the inner circle, someone that's cheering you on and pushing you to greatness. And I think that's what she did for you there. And not that you needed the help, but she helped you to, I guess, get to that next level and get you more recognition and maybe help more people with your writing.
Yeah, we learn this in the military. It's always there to be helped as well as help, right? If you are higher than the person below you, you need to reach down and lift them up. And I've been very thankful through the years to meet a lot of great folks.
Definitely, I believe surrounding yourself with a great team. You may be the leader, but you may not be the smartest person in the room. You may not be the quickest person. You may not be the strongest, and you need that team around you to make you the best you can be, or the best we can be. There's that adage: "There's no I in team, but there's no I in military. There's no I in anything. You have to do it with a team and with a focus of we will get to the finish line."
No, I absolutely agree. One of I use a lot of the things that I have learned through my entire career in my writing and job transition, etc., is all kind of been from the military. Just a great place. Who else in the entire globe gets people to volunteer, raise their hand, pull them from all walks of life, all financial aspects, and throws them all together and makes them work together, and more importantly, willing to give their life for something bigger than themselves, right? There's no corporation in the globe that does this than the military. And to your point, as far as team, one of the things I've been saying for at least 20 years in operations is that I would rather have a SEAL Team 6 than a dirty dozen any day, right? The military people are well-rounded and trained in multiple tasks, so that if somebody gets, injured or whatever, we lift that person, we bring them up on our back, and we power through and move forward.
Exactly. We all have that next man up or next person up mentality that, say, if I went down, the rest of my platoon, they'd be able to run through the battle anyway and say, "Hey, son, we did it, and here's a picture of us at the end, so we did it, and you don't have to write us up." Or they do something funny like that, because that's military humor too. So
Right.
they don't care. They care that you're alive, but they want to get the mission achieved as well and have that success. So that's also something we learned in the military. You got to keep pushing forward and complete the mission, no matter how many people are with you or how many people are left. You got to finish the job.
Absolutely.
When you started the global supply chain stuff, what was your biggest, I guess, obstacle to get into it, and your biggest feat to get into it and started out there?
Well, I think a lot of people actually grow up saying, "I want to do this and I want to do that." I actually fell into my career, got out of the military, right, and had a family friend say, they're looking for some people over here in the automotive industry, and at the time it was TRW automation, that really needed somebody in propellant manufacturing, and I'm like, "Oh, I got the experience," and so the military prepared me to really fall into operations and learn it. It's a process, right? Like anything else, military is a process. Everything's documented, and that's really where operations and supply chain, especially the last 3 years.
It was challenging the last 3 years, and those who were good at it were really good at it, and those who were, you could tell who was not good at it, in the midst of the 3 year span there, and who's now catching up. So those who were good, kudos to you, and those of you who relied on one system to help us, I hurt you. It
Yeah.
hurts all.
Hire a couple more veterans.
So let them run through walls for you and do things, and that's how you make things happen.
Absolutely.
You said you were in 115th Infantry. I was in 315th Infantry at Fort Stewart. That was my first duty station, so 2 units away from you and across the water. So that was I think China Bandits was the name of our battalion there.
Mm.
We didn't have Audie Murphy. We had just a bunch of Bradleys and people like to act like they were light infantry, but they were on Bradley. So it was fun, but I learned a lot there. A lot of steep learning curve for me with the infantry, with mechanized infantry. Then I went to light infantry after that, and I fell in love.
Yeah, I like I said, I have never regretted a day in my life in the military. Maybe the first day, right? When I raised my hand and went in there, and I said, I'm going to turn around and count how many push-ups I'm going to do. And I think about 1 o'clock in the afternoon is when I stopped, and I had well over 1,000 push-ups with all the drop, give me 20, drop, give me 50.
And still trying to find your gear that you were supposed to be holding at the same time.
Yeah.
It was a different time back then. Now I think they only can drop for 10 at a time now, so it'll be a lot of droppings to get to 1,000 now. But I guess if you want to count for that many drops, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
In your service, were you infantry or were you a support in infantry?
Infantry. Yep.
So you went from being an infantry ground pounder to a totally different mind, totally different job. So that's a crazy transition. And you said you kind of lucked into it, and not a lot of people do luck into things that way. Do you think your mindset that you had going into the military from I guess your youth and your parents helped you in that transition, or was the military mind is what really helped you the most?
Yeah, the military for me, I mean, I had two parents that barely could get two nickels to rub together, really difficult. And I know that I wanted a different life for myself. So, the military gave me the best option, and my aunt was pretty upset because I came out of high school, and I had, I had the ability to go to college, right? Went a scholarship, and I'm like, nope, I want to go in the military. Nope, I don't want to be an officer. And she was really upset with me. But I think through the years, I chose my path, and a lot of times my path chose me. But I'd never give it up. I mean, the military has really formed my ability under a lot of great pressures. You had referenced, the time that I was in Thailand. I went over there at 6 factories under 40 feet of water in less than 24 hours. And we had to develop a strategy so that we didn't have an impact to our customers, right? And in 3 months, we were back online. We were the fastest operation up over in the industrial park there. And it was all because of my military training and ability to, intestinal fortitude, push through.
That's outstanding. And Thailand underwater, for those who don't know, Thailand is pretty much close to sea level in all parts of it. So it's not hard for a monsoon or a typhoon to come through there and really cause havoc. And for you to get the 3 factories that were underwater to be operational and continue to function and provide to the customers, that's a testament to not just your training, but your mindset and your go-getting attitude to make things happen.
And the team, right? I mean, like you said earlier, you are nothing without a team. And we just had, I mean, what I have found when I was over in Thailand is the resiliency and the dedication of those people were just incredible. I mean, here their own houses were under 10 feet of water, and they would take a boat to a vehicle, drive an hour to our facility, help us clean up and everything else, and get back up and go back home and work, their hours to get their own house up to speed. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
That's incredible. Yeah, my brother went there. I want to say early 2000, late 90s, early 2000s. He was helping build power plants there. He wound up basically gaining a whole other family there. They fell in love with him. They took him under as their big shining American son. In 2009, 2008, me and my wife went there for vacation, and they did the same to us. They took us and we had our own personal tour guide. They took us all around to all the places, told us the best places to stay, and it was amazing. Just their hospitality and the ethics of the people there. The culture was amazing.
Yeah, no, great. I mean, one of the most beautiful places I still to this day have seen is Phuket, right? I don't know if you got a chance to get there, but boy, it was phenomenal. And it's like, why wouldn't I go out there, when you spent already half 24 hours on a plane flight, to at least experience that. It was just beautiful.
Definitely. We went from Korea, so it was a lot quicker flight. So, but we stayed there a week. We were there over New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So it was beautiful just watching how they celebrate compared to how we celebrate, and the way the people acted. They cleaned up after that night and made the next day like it was a whole brand new world, and all the mess that was out there was gone somehow. I couldn't believe it, but it was real. We went to a place, I think it was the 6 tiers of waterfalls, and you're supposed to find monkeys in there. I was real
Ah,
upset. I was really upset that I'd never seen monkeys, but that's just my luck. Everywhere I go, when there's supposed to be something, I never see it. Manatees in Florida, I'd never see them. Monkeys there, bears in Gatlinburg, never see them. But so if you want to see those things, don't go with me to those places.
you kind of warn them off there.
Yeah, I guess I must have some scent or something that they don't want to be seen when I'm there. I'm not a hunter, so I'm not going to kill them or anything. I just want to see them and maybe take a picture from a distance.
Right.
So, of the other places that you've been to besides Thailand, unless that was your favorite, what was your favorite place to be working and favorite place to I guess travel through?
Um, One of the favorite places was that experience. I was working for an RFID company, and the challenges and the continued growth that it experienced in the 4 years that I was there was just incredible. And the just opportunities from the CEO. As a matter of fact, the conversation went a little bit something like this. I had just turned around the operations in the U.S., and the CEO in Germany calls me and says, "George, I need to talk to you." And I'm like, "Well, I figure he isn't going to turn around and fly me all the way to Germany to fire me. He could do that over the phone, right?" And so we sit down at lunch. I got in there probably about 10 or 11 o'clock. We went to lunch, and he goes, "You know that there's some challenges, in our Thailand operations." And I said, "Understood." He goes, "I'd like you to turn around and go out and take a look and assess it." And I says, "Can do that." He goes, "And I'd like you also to turn it around." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to float with the wife." And so the wife just said good luck, and the rest is history.
She said, "Have at it. That's good."
That's right. You know where we'll be.
Yes, ma'am. We'll do it and make sure that works out. And I mean, you got to go to Germany and then there. So Germany as a soldier, then Germany as a civilian. Was it a big difference for you?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, a lot of the sites, I was stationed at Kitzingen, which is just outside of Würzburg, a little small airfield. As a matter of fact, interestingly enough, the Germans used the airfield a lot during World War II. A lot of history there. But I traveled back there. I think it was maybe almost close to 20 years since the time, and it was a ghost town. Every chain link fences and everything up. It was really sombering. Because so many troops all the way back from the time that I was back there in 87 through 89 and prior all the way to World War II, there was a lot of activity. And for it to be just totally closed down in a ghost town, it was really kind of sombering.
Probably like a ghost town. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
My dad was stationed there 50 to 53, I think, or 50 to 52. He was over in Germany.
Mm.
And he had all these stories of Germany. And then when I finally got there the first time, it was just for 6 hours because my plane broke down. So we
Mm.
just stayed on the base there. I think it was in Frankfurt. And then the second time I went as a civilian, I went there on a mission to help train. And I got to be there 30 days and got to actually travel and see things. And I went to where he was in Heidelberg. And I thought it was amazing. But he said he was telling me verbatim where places were in Heidelberg. It's like, it's not there anymore. It's not there. It's 2019 now. It's not there. It's got to be that. It was there when I was there.
Yeah,
It was the 50s,
that's right.
60s. I
No.
mean, yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's definitely, it definitely ages you. That's for sure. I mean, if you're feeling young and spry and you go back, and just like when you go back to your high school and your college, you just never realize, oh, well, that wasn't as what kind of remembered.
right. And you see how much young the students are at those schools now compared to when you are now. And you say, wow, I am old now. How
Yeah,
can I
so yeah. Yeah, there was a time when I was the youngest plant manager, the youngest operations manager, the youngest chief operating officer, and now I look around the table, I'm like, well, I'm the old guy.
I'm that guy we all laughed at before.
That's right.
Now they're going on break and laughing at me. Oh man. But you stayed ahead and you've stayed technologically advanced. You've kept up with the time. So I'm sure that helps out a lot too with your relationships with your teams.
Yeah, one of the things that I always love the question, a couple of questions that I think companies really need to drop. It's first is what type of leader are you, right? Um, this day and age, you have to be all leaders, right? Because, a certain situation you might need to be an autocratic leader, just go in, assess, and make a decision. While other times you have to turn around and be maybe laissez-faire and let the team make the decision for you. Um, But I think, one of the things that the military is taught, and even it goes all the way back to Jesus, is I'm a servant leader, right? My responsibility is to help my team remove roadblocks for them to be more successful. And collectively, we'll be more successful because of it. So that's one of the first questions I always ask, HR folks is when they ask me the question, I say, well, what leader do you need? And they kind of look at me with a cocked head. And I said, well, depending on the situation, a person, a true leader needs to make sure they assess and adjust their leadership accordingly.
Exactly. And you got to, not just to the situation, you have to understand each person on your team.
Absolutely.
Because each person will react differently to different types of leadership. So if you do the same thing to all of them, you're going to lose half your team immediately. And
Yeah.
the others will be they'll either quit, they'll go to HR complaining about you, or you'll just have no productivity out of them. So you have to understand people. You got to be a people person and then understand how to deal with all kinds of different situations.
Yeah, and that goes into my second book. My second book really was, the last 15 years of what I've seen in leadership, right? I've seen, you've heard a lot of talk in the last 10 to 15 years about lack of employee engagement. I just posted something just a couple of days ago. Is all-time low now. It started to tick a little bit up, and then after COVID, it's back down with all these layoffs and everything else. Like 34% of your employees are actually engaged, right? 18% are working against you. And the fact is that, my new book, Ignite, Engage, Retain, is how do you ignite a workforce as a leader? How do you engage your team, even in the hybrid sense, right? Because again, you have to be all to everyone as a leader. And most importantly, how do you retain talent? These companies that were just 2 months ago complaining about not being able to recruit enough talent and more importantly, retain the talent, basically just flipped a switch and let them all go, right? So that really shows their colors as far as a company. And I can tell you, talking with a lot of folks in the last month, they have really looked and assessed currently where they're at in their career. And they're basically saying, you know what? I know what I don't want to do, and it's whatever I just left. I don't know what I want to do, and they're evaluating that. And they've got options, a lot more options than they ever have.
Definitely. I just thought of another question that people ask on interviews that it really got up in my craw when I was going through my transition. What would you do if person A and B are having a conflict with each other?
Mm,
So I have to find out what's wrong with person A and B.
right.
I have to know what their situation is. I can't just come in here cold and say it. I thought those were always trap questions for some reason, that they're just trying to just waste time on an interview with those questions. Is that one that you find is another weird one to ask?
The weird one for me, or the one that I kind of really chuckle and laugh. I mean, if they looked at my resume, and I proudly display I'm a veteran, right? And the question they ask is, can you tell us a difficult, or how do you deal with stressful situations? I'm like, really?
Yes.
After you've been shot at, everything is easy.
Yeah. And it's in that situation where you kind of like go into that movie scene in your head. You're in the flashback in the shootout or in that firefight, and then you come back to the gray area. Yeah, yeah. I think I would just stay calm and just work through it. I think
Absolutely. Yeah, just smile and wave, boys, smile and wave.
'Cause that would be a great movie cutout scene right there when that question comes out to any veteran that served in a forward operation facility. Because that's just something you can just laugh at. I think.
Yeah, I do. I just tell them, I said, if you knew anything about military folks who are in work environments, they've dealt with situations like that much stronger. And I mean, even if you have a boss that's yelling and screaming and everything else, and I've had those bosses. I'm sure a lot of the viewers have as well. I just kind of chuckle and laugh. I'm like, when you've been, ripped by an E6, or a colonel, right? Nobody in the civilian life can come close.
Exactly, and your skin becomes a lot thicker when that happens to you more than one time. You just become all right. Thank you, Roger Sarnt. Roger Sarnt. Yes, sir. Roger Sarnt.
Right,
Your bag's full. Got this. We can move forward. And what's my next task? Oh, good. Thanks.
right,
Because you're not firing me, right? Good.
right. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people say. There's really not a bad day that you have. I said, well, first of all, I've learned to embrace the suck in the military, right? When you do that, there nothing could touch you. You don't let anything in. It just can't get you, right? But I've self-labeled myself tenaciously optimistic, right? Because yeah, life is tough, life is hard. But if you let that water in, it's only your fault, and more importantly, you're going to go south, right? So you got to maintain as a leader.
I think that was my transition. The hardest part was the day I took off my boots. The next day is like you're running into a wall.
Hmm.
After 22 years of putting that boots on, and you hit that wall the next day, and there's no one to either yell at you or you to yell at.
Yeah.
So you're like, all right, so it's just me and you guys, me and my dogs sitting at home. And so I took a year to, I guess, find myself and become one with who I was going to be. And then
Hmm.
finally, I took a job with a nonprofit, and I worked there for 2 years because I didn't want to be a statistic. Most veterans leave their first job after a year. That's the
Hmm.
crazy statistic. So I stayed two. And then my old first sergeant called me and said, "Hey, do you want to work here?" I said, "Heck yes." When I came, I'm working where I am now, and it's a great job where I am now. It's nothing. It's like a mini military unit because it's all veterans, all senior leaders that work together, and we all talk trash to each other all day long. So it's just like we're still in uniform, but not. We can go home every night and have fun, but it never changes. But that transition, it was a hard wall to run into, and then try to figure it out the right way before I did something go insane with myself.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there was a company I worked for. I want to say more than 85% of the leadership, from a supervisor all the way up to directors and above, vice presidents, were all ex-military. And great leadership, great team, great camaraderie. But more importantly, that company grew at an exponential rate, and I think because of the fact that we had leaders that saw an obstacle as an opportunity.
Right? It's a way for us to show our team that our team can shine. It's not a way to hold us back. We're going to get through the obstacle no matter. You may not like how we do it, but it's going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
It may
By hook, crook, or draw, it'll happen.
see some gray workings going on, but we're going to get this thing done. And thank you. I mean, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So you also have a coaching business you have on the side here. What are some of the things that you find that your clients are really looking for as they come in?
Well, one of the things right now, got a couple that are going on coaching board members how to work together, right? You would think that a lot of executives that are at a board level know how to work together, but this one in particular, they're struggling to maintain focus, easily distracted in the board. The organization's not moving at the pace that they'd like to. And so got to go in there and kind of just say, okay, we got to develop some ground rules, even though that, we're dealing with all NBA stars and so forth. We all need to understand what our role is and what our support is, and having those discussions. And ironically enough, it's not so much the employees that I have the challenge with, it's the leaders, right? Because everybody, wants to lead, right? And I think, as a leader, there are times that you have to lead, and there's other times that you need to follow. And the greatest leaders are the best followers.
We need to follow and get out of the way.
So yeah, exactly.
Like we're taught early in our careers that there's the leader, there's the led, and you got to be one or the other at all times. So if you're not in charge, let someone else be in charge and just do it.
Yeah.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride because they're the ones that are taking all the responsibility.
Yeah, so to your point, I think most of them are just, understanding that their cultures are not where they want to be and they need to adjust. I tell people all the time, first and foremost, don't tell people that they're going to change, because no one likes to change. Nobody, right? And change doesn't really sustain over a period of time. But what you can do is you can enhance anything, right? And this is really not throwing the baby out with the bathwater scenario, right? It's going in and assessing and understanding what's working, and then recognizing that all the individuals, and then adjusting the sales to change over a period of time. The only way you're going to be able to truly get people to adjust and enhance the current culture is through time, effort, determination, all those things, and then support, right? Getting them developing different beliefs and different experiences, because we all come up with different beliefs and experiences. This is one of the things the military does really well with takes every beat, every form, every level of financial person and throws them in the military and just basically says, you're all green, you bleed red, you're a team, move forward.
And drive on. There
That's
it
right.
is. And that's when you hear the diversity talk now and DEI and all those acronyms that are thrown out there now with the corporate level and how they try to really throw it in the faces of their employees. I always do that flashback thing. For 22 years, I was in the most diverse corporation in the world.
Absolutely.
There's nothing more diverse than that. When I first came in, there were still pockets of like, oh, clicks here, you hang out with them, clicks hanging out there. But when you got to work, everyone worked together. You worked together like you were a family. And as the war went on from 2001 on, everyone was just together. There was no more cliques, and it was just insane. It was insane to look from the outside in how close everyone got and how much more diverse we got as my career progressed.
Yeah, one of the great speakers, Simon Sinek, does a lot of work in the military, and he commends the military leadership and how the structure is. And that's one of the things I like to try to bring to organizations, right? Is how do we develop that camaraderie? And the fact is even the newest, even the youngest employee has ideas to move the company forward. How do we take that and harness that and move it forward?
Right, and camaraderie isn't just going out and having a beer after work. It's working a task together at work and getting that taste of victory together. Like you said, it could be the day 2 employee comes in after they get done with their in processing the first day. Day 2, they're at their desk and they come up with a light bulb, and that's the idea that pushes us forward.
Yeah,
by rewarding or giving that responsibility or shedding some of your responsibility to that person, you're showing that you trust them already, and you build that whole team mindset and the camaraderie of the team.
I had one of my best managers, leaders. He's actually one of my best friends now, post-military. And ironically enough, he'd never been in the military, but there was some conversations where he's like, you know what, George, I know you're in the military, so I'm going to tell you like this. I normally wouldn't tell you like this, but I'm going to tell you like this, because he understood and knew me. But the fact is he was the most charismatic leader. Bob Simpson, I'll tell him out there, is that great guy, huge following. I mean, this guy found out, he was running an organization that was well over 1,500 employees, and he knew everybody's name. He knew their spouse's name. He knew the best, their football teams that they, so that he could poke fun. A lot of times I remember him coming down to us, when we were working in the propellant area, and he would be like, oh, George, the Giants, man, they really just bombed that last weekend, right, man? But he knew, and he just had that way. And he would have been a great leader even in the military.
Definitely, that's a great person, that great cheerleader and egger honor that you want to work with.
You got to poke the bee's nest.
Poke the bear every once in a while to get them going. Yeah, you said the Giants. You mean the New York Football Giants or San Francisco Giants?
Yeah, New York Giants. I'm on New York team. I'm born and raised in Bristol, Connecticut, and all New York, traditional New York teams like the Yankees and the Rangers and the Knicks.
Nice. Well, I'm a Giants, Mets, Nets, and Rangers. So.
A little sprinkle.
I was born in Jersey City, so that's I'm a Nets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I got the Nets there with me, even though they're in Brooklyn now, but they're still my team.
Yeah.
So I see another connection between us: the infantry and then the Giants, New York Football Giants. I thought you were going to say poke funny for being a Minnesota fan, but when you said Giants, I was
well, what's funny is that the Minnesota fans are just happy with coming to the game.
You gotta be happy when it's that cold out up there and getting to the game and getting into that nice stadium they have now. It's a beautiful stadium there.
Yeah, we got 14 inches just in the last 24 hours here.
Good God. I think it's 70 here today, 75, 73 here today. So.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends. I lived in a lot of warm places, and they say, George, for some guy that's lived in the north and hated the cold, you picked the coldest state to live in. I said, well, it's really about the people here, and it's a great way to grow a great family. The school systems are really great. People are really great here as well. So I guess, you have to have a little bit of bad with 8 months of snow. So it really hurts hard when, you're a Harley driver and you can only run about 3 months out of the year.
Well, you'll keep your Harley forever that way, though.
Yeah, I never have to change tires.
Definitely. So, George, we talked about almost everything you do now. how does someone get in contact with you to either just chat with you like we are now, or to get advice from you and maybe get some help at their board level or even at their growing level?
Yeah, all they got to do is take my name that's up on the screen there, georgecmurray@gmail.com. That's my email. My phone number, 952-221-8868. And my website is George Clayston Murray, CLAYSTIN, Murray.com. It's actually after my great-great-grandfather. Up until a couple of years ago, it wasn't even Googled.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a very unique name.
It's a very unique name, and the website is going across the bottom of the screen now for those of you who are going to watch this on video. If not, if you're listening on audio, it will be in the show notes, so you can get in touch with George and get some of his great advice to help you and your team find that victory you need. George, thanks for taking your time, and thanks for reaching out to me on LinkedIn and getting this thing going. This was a good chat.
Rich, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll be back in 2 and 2. Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. It's themisfitnation.com to catch up on all of our episodes and also to get some of that great Misfit Nation gear. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are